Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cinnamon and Sound. This is your host, Tony Boyle. Have an amazing guest today, Tatyana Guchi. Famous comedian, has done so many things in the industry. How's it going, Gucci?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Tony.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's so coincidental that we're both wearing hats. But I hope that's a Knicks. It looks like a Knicks hat because you
It
never know.
is. It is because
That's-
we're taking our wins while we can, baby. We taking our
y-
wins while we can.
yes, we are. And you know what? I had a whole different avenue I was gonna go.
Mhm.
If you were a comedian, right? And which you
I
are,
am. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I was like, if I
And
was, wait.
no, no, you are, because this is off the cuff. What moment during the Knicks whooping that ass against Boston Celtics, you were like, I got some material to use? Like, what moment you're like, you know what, this could be something historic for comedians?
I actually missed most of the game because I was
Oh,
working on other projects that day.
ah,
However, here I'm based in Los Angeles now. So
mm-hmm,
in LA, there's not a huge like following of New York sports or culture or anything.
mm-hmm,
But I did find out about a pub, a sports bar in Silver Lake called 33 Taps, which
mm,
apparently is the go-to Knicks bar out here. I didn't know that.
okay.
So when I found out about it, I went for the Boston home game, and the energy was everyone was pissed. Not a whistle blown. We're like, y'all are gonna try to do anything to take this W.
Yep, yep, yep.
So the next time, I wasn't even planning to go to the Knicks bar, but I was like, you know what? Now I'm like done with my work. Let me just head over there, see if a couple of the homies are there. And they were, and this was like, I think it had to be the end of the third, and the Knicks were up. So we were like, everybody was already preemptively celebrating. And so was I. And then obviously when we took the win, everybody was oh, we were in the parking lot. Some of us that really
I
from New
know.
York, we're getting sturdy. We're like in the parking lot.
It
Um,
was crazy. It
it was
reminded me
you would swear we
of
won. You would swear that you took the championship.
the scene in Batman, the most recent Batman with Robert Pattinson, where everybody were in the streets and it looked like a full-on riot. The whole
Yeah.
city was burning.
Uh
That's what it
huh.
looked like. And we haven't even won the chip yet. So
No.
a lot of people are saying if we win the chip, it's gonna be like when we had the blackout that year. I don't remember when we had the blackout and people were breaking into stores, cars were going on fire. Like it will be Armageddon in New York City. So I don't know if we will
New
win
York does
because
not have enough police force. They
not at
don't.
all.
They
Not at
don't.
all. Not at all.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I did end up having a show after that. So
Hmm.
I immediately got on stage. I went down to Long Beach Laugh Factories where I had my show, and I literally opened it. I was like, I don't care how this set goes. I've already won for the night. I
Every
don't
New Yorker has
care.
one
We
for life
won
right now.
tonight.
Hmm.
If I don't care how this could be the worst bomb in the history of my career, and I would not care. Yeah,
And we could
obviously
be
I had fun.
swept. We could get swept next round, and we would still say we won. Like
Uh,
we beat the champs. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We
yeah,
knocked out the champs. So that's what New York
yeah.
would say. But
Even the people in even the Lakers fans out here are like, you know what? Y'all beat the Celtics. I don't care. I
yep,
don't care.
yep, 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 yep.
Get them out of here.
But
Yes.
yeah, thanks for indulging in that. But tell us a little bit about yourself. Like what's your background? What kind of got you into comedy?
Yeah, man. Oh man. Well, I'm like the first generation child of an immigrant, single mom, like literally I had the perfect story to like go to the league, but I have
Hmm.
no athletic ability. So
Okay, makes
what else
sense.
was there? I really started comedy. I noticed it came from a place of just truly loving people. I was such an empath, watching my mom struggle as an immigrant in this
Hmm.
country and not being able to hold down steady jobs because of her immigration status. She would come home some nights like in shambles, tears, crying. And seeing that from a young age, I'm talking like 5, 6, 7, like you you have a different lens of the world, right? You're like,
Hmm.
oh wow, it's actually really unkind, this world. And there was nothing that I could really do at that age, but I found my power was that I could change how someone could feel in that moment.
Mm,
So I had the power in those moments to make her laugh, right? By doing silly things. I would do impressions of kids running at school, because if you ever watch children run for 5 seconds, they all look goofy. I mean, they just figured out how to use their legs like three
mhm,
days ago, stuff like that. Or like we would watch like Mr. Bean movies and I would replay different scenes. And like I remember us just being in shambles, like stomach hurting laughing, like that core belly laugh.
mhm,
And yeah, I think that was one of the moments I was like, "Oh wow, I love how this feels. I love how it feels to bring joy and smiles to somebody who, needs it, right?"
mhm.
And then my actual comedy journey on a stage doesn't happen for another 20 years at that point, nearly. I would say another like the 15 to 16 years at that point, because I
Oh,
don't
wow.
hit a stage until I'm 22. I think about 22 years old, I got on a stage and did stand up for the first time, which I
Mhm,
actually learned about through improv comedy. Um, and that story in itself was very serendipitous. But I took one improv course at the UCB in Midtown Manhattan. Met an awesome
mhm,
girl named Rebecca. She was like, "Have you ever gotten on stage and done stand up?" I said, "Absolutely not. Don't even know where to start." She was like, "Well,
mhm,
we're gonna
okay.
go to the QED in Astoria, Queens." I was like, "Okay, cool." It was August, like afternoon,
Mhm,
um, and this was in 2017, I believe. It was 2017.
mhm.
And that was the first time I hit a stage. And I was like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
the short of the long story.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been doing stand up comedy since then,
Okay.
nonstop.
So, for those who aren't super savvy in the comedic world, what's the real difference between improv and stand-up? And if you had to say which one was more challenging?
Mm, they're challenging in different ways. If I were to compare the two, they're actually a lot more similar than people think, but the spirit of it is a bit different
Mhm,
because improv is very collaborative, it's very team based and oriented, whereas stand up you're a solo act, um and the performance is solely based on your ability to show up. However, the
mhm,
two definitely coincide because some of the best stand-up comedians we know are really great improvisers. They're able to use things that are happening in the space and time that you can't recreate, right? So if
mm,
like somebody has like an odd laugh off to the corner, or you have, some somebody passes out at a show, that's happened to me.
mm,
That's happened. Or there are things that can happen in the moment, in the spur of the moment, and then perhaps a less experienced comedian,
mhm,
stand up specifically, might not know how to use those things um, to their advantage in their set, if they aren't so apt to being able to improvise on the fly. So I
mm,
think the two need each other more than they give credit to. If you ask other stand up comics that don't have an improv background, they will tell you that they're like, improv's lame, improv's for, they're like, yes and
mhm,
which
uh-huh,
is the famous rule.
mhm,
But everything really is that, everything is yes and, because even with my stand-up comedy, I know that I'm a better stand-up comic because of improv and because I know how to collaborate with others, and I'm grateful for that because most of my work and jobs come from other stand-up comedians who just had my back right off
got
stage.
it. Okay. So I know you mentioned like working the crowd, or improvising based on what's happening in real time.
Yeah.
What's the concept of comedians that are stand-up comedians that are more so they just work the crowd versus really come up with their own sketch or something along the lines of that? Or
Material.
unless I'm incorrectly
um
wording it.
I think at some level, yeah, all comics have to come up with their own material. You can only go so far with crowd work, but there are comics that solely do crowd work, and that's highly improvised, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
you don't. a lot of these questions are here's some inside baseball. They're guided, right? They're not that open ended. We are sort of getting to a point that's going to get to the joke, right?
Mm.
Um, but for the crowd, I think there's like a I don't know what the stigma is. I think there is a bit of a stigma though with the crowd work comics that they're like, it's like you're not really doing stand up.
Hmm.
I don't. I think there's a thing that people don't like. Stand-ups don't like improvised comedy, but it perhaps because it's hard. It's
Hmm.
not easy to be funny on the fly all the time, right?
Got
And
it.
sometimes it is hit or miss. You'll watch some of these and you're like, okay, and then sometimes something really clever or great comes up. But that's where great improv comes in, right? You just like sit, let it you massage it, find the information and like let it marinate, and all the information that I come up with is solely based on what you come up with, so it is collaborative. um Maybe the people who don't like it are just not good collaborators. Oh, I said it, shots fired.
Yes, shots fired. Let's see what the our audience thinks about that statement. All right, so I have an interesting, maybe another controversial topic.
Okay.
I think every
I
kid
like.
is really good at the mom jokes, dad jokes.
Okay.
Are
Hmm.
you more of a mom joke or a dad joke kind of comedian, and why?
A mom joke versus a dad joke, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really know if there's a difference. I just thought like dad joke was just like something in general that, you know, any parent would tell.
Hmm.
I guess the the thing that would differentiate the two is one is nicer than the other.
Yes, that is very true. I think so.
Oh, although I would think I'm more of a dad joke teller, it's probably for me gonna lead mom joke because I'm not like a roaster. I'm not a mean person. I don't have a mean spirit.
Hmm.
I won't say I don't have a mean bone in my body. It might be like a metatarsal or something. It might be in the foot.
Uh-huh.
But here I go. See, these might be dad jokes. I don't know. I can't tell the difference.
Got it.
Um,
Okay.
but I probably would lean mom joke because like even if I like I'm gonna roast somebody in the
Hmm.
crowd, um, I might just like joke like I've seen. Okay, so there was like these one show I had here in Hollywood on Virgil.
Hmm.
There was these two guys who were like you could clearly tell were very tall because their knees were to their chest in these chairs. They were so tall, and
Uh-huh.
so I'm not gonna I don't I'm not a roaster. Like I said, I'm not gonna roast these people like
Hmm.
that's just not the spirit of my comedy. Instead I was like, how did you two meet each other? Picking stuff off the top shelf, something stupid like that. Like that's
Hmm.
the extent of my roasting and my jokes. So y'all tell me if that falls in the
Very,
mom or dad joke category.
honestly, I wish we had a penalty for when people don't answer the question because you kind of just skated in the middle. But it was very. I mean, that joke was very nice. It wasn't the
Yeah.
worst, but I get the punchline behind it. Like, you just hella tall, so that's probably how you guys met. So that was funny. I like
Yeah,
that. I like that.
yeah. So like, I don't know. I just don't know where that leads. Maybe where are the
I,
non-binary
I
jokes?
am I
Where
am
where do those live?
where did those live? That is a good question. Now I probably need to open up to more categories and ask people those questions. I definitely think I'm a mama jokes because it's the
Yeah,
easiest. I think
yeah.
dad jokes I gotta think a little bit more, but as a guy
Oh
and with
wait.
my boys and roasting them, I go to mama jokes quick,
Oh,
off the cuff.
yo mama jokes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I misunderstood the question. I misunderstood. Like yo mama so
Ba
fat.
ba 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 ba. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah, yeah. So she got her own orbit. Like, okay.
Essentially, yes. So if you have to say those your mama jokes versus
Got
your
it.
dada jokes,
Got
which
it.
one would you go?
I'm gonna go dad joke every time. I can't talk about nobody mama. I respect moms too much. I love moms. So I'm more like but bum. I think like the joke that I told earlier about the tall guys, I think that leans more
Hmm.
dad joke. Like, did you guys meet picking stuff off the shelf? Like that's such a dad
Okay.
joke.
That is
Yeah,
such a
okay.
dad delivery for sure. 100%. That's
Yes.
such a dad delivery for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
lean dad joke. Yeah.
All right. Cool. I guess I'm a bad comedian because the question didn't land correctly. So,
No, I just
um,
it's okay. And also, I haven't heard a yo mama joke in so long. It's been a while.
true, true. It is has been a while.
I
But what
remember
was
the
that? What
first
was that
time.
TV show?
Oh, I did want
It
to
was it.
share. Like, I remember the first time somebody spoke about my mom. I
Ooh.
was like the third grade or something. I was 8 years old, and I didn't know that like that was possible. They were going back and I can't remember what we were arguing about, but
Mm-hmm.
I remember the kid. I will never forget how this kid made me feel. He was like, "Your mom," and I was like, I remember clearly saying, "My mom is a good person."
So how
Did
did you get
not
revenge?
understand.
How did you get revenge? I know you got revenge. How did you get revenge back on that kid?
This is so random that I remember this, but I
Mm-hmm.
remember stealing specifically this person's brown crayons. I don't know why I remember this like so vividly.
Oh wow.
I was like,
Okay.
that's what you get. You don't deserve this color.
You're taking brown out, so no trees drawing for you, no grass, no
No,
ground, no
no,
earth.
no
That's
brown
it.
people,
No
nothing.
brown
You
people,
you'll
nothing.
get none of that.
Oh man, that is funny. I don't remember my first mom joke, but I remember watching, I think MTV had a TV show of some kind, and
Mm,
it was just strictly mama jokes and or something along the lines of that. And I remember it was just hilarious.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
NTV
that
had
was
the
a whole
most random
show.
shows.
That
Yeah,
was
it
an
was a whole
era.
show, a whole era, which
Yeah.
is a great for the next question. If you had to time travel and do stand up in any comedy era, what decade would you pick, and what would your set sound like?
Oh wow. I've thought about this in a different way. I've
Mm-hmm.
often thought that like there was never a place for me in my comedy in the past
Mm.
because voices like mine are new. They're more acceptable now, right?
Mm-hmm.
People who don't really fall into societal norms, right? So, biracial, queer, immigrant, it was very like white and black. And also I would probably be the world's worst comedian if I go back in time. I'd have to go in the future. I'd have to
Mm.
go in the future. I would probably go, if at some point humanity lives on a station like Xenon,
Okay.
I want
All
to
right.
be in the third ward, fourth rank, whatever station that is. Yeah, somewhere in the Milky Way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell my antiquated jokes there. Everyone's gonna be like, "We're mixed with alien races now. You're behind." But I'm like, "That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. I'll tell these dad jokes from 2025." Yeah, I
2020.
think of I just as a black woman, I do not want to go to the past.
Okay.
The
That is
past
completely
sounds like a
a
terrible place.
hundred percent fair. On the same vein about eras and decades and past comedies, I guess eras.
Mm.
Which era you felt was the most interesting to you when it comes to like the authenticity of like comedy? Do you think this era that we're in right now is really interesting, or do you feel like the early 2000s, 90s, 80s, like what era you were the most like, you know what, this was a cool era, but not the era for me?
That was a cool era, but not the era for me. I mean, I do love. I have several comedians that I look up to. The Eddie Murphys, Richard Pryor, Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know if she's not particularly stand up, but her one woman shows.
Hmm.
Um, Jim Gaffigan, Cat Williams, Bernie Mac. Like, There's so many comedians that I look up to, and when I watch them back, I'm like, ooh, I don't know how they do if they were starting now, Um,
True.
great for their particular time. And I think because of that, maybe if I were in those different eras, right? So if we're looking at Eddie Murphy, what is that, the 80s, the 90s,
Hmm.
right? That era. I'm I'd probably be too safe. They'd be like, oh, she's too safe, and
Not
because
raunchy enough. Not raunchy enough.
yeah, yeah, or it, but even now, I feel like stand up has kind of taken this. There's so many genres now, right? I'm
Yes.
somebody who loves all. I love so many genres. I love different stand-ups for their own styles and voices. But it's really like what you're looking for, because there is still a market for people who are pushing the envelope. Go to Austin, Texas.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
That is,
Okay.
oh yeah, that's where I'll leave that.
All
Hi,
right.
Austin. Um, there is, there's like the deadpan style. That style kind of bores me, but
Okay.
feels like a feels like a podcast, not that podcasts aren't boring. They're not boring. I enjoy podcasts, but
Hopefully you enjoy my podcast after this.
yeah, I enjoyed this one.
All right, cool,
You
cool.
know, is there an era that I'm like, oh, no, I think all of them need each other for different reasons, right?
Hmm.
I think there are precedents that are set with every single generation, and
Hmm.
so we need them in every way, because it's all an art form and it's self-expression, right?
Hmm.
So I would never tell anybody, although one may not be my style,
Hmm.
or my particular favorite. Who's to say the next person wouldn't love that, right? And it's all very much subject to interpretation. Now, it is a little different because stand up, you do have you have a job to do, which is make the people in front of you laugh. And if you're not doing that, objectively, you are not doing your job. It is
True.
not good. So anybody who is not doing that needs to go. But if you are doing that and you're doing it successfully in whatever avenue you take, man, big up to you.
Okay, I like
Because
that
it's a
approach.
hard job. It's a hard fucking job. Am I allowed to cuss on here? I'm sorry.
Oh, of course. Yes, you can. You
Okay, okay.
can. You can. Yes, you can. Because I said the Boston Celtics got their ass whooped.
Got their ass whooped.
Yeah.
What?
All right. So, over the past 10 years, what comedy moment on stage, on screen, or on social that made you go, damn, I wish I wrote that?
Hmm. I would have to say, ooh, this is a really good question. This is a really good question. In the last 10 years, that's such a big window, too. In the last 10
I
years?
mean, COVID happened,
Yeah.
Trump
Ooh.
happened. I mean, there's a lot of material happened. I mean, this wasn't more written, but Will Smith got smacked.
Oh,
What
yeah.
else happened? I mean, a lot of crazy stuff has happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of, you have a lot of content to pick from.
Like
A lot of moments. A
an
lot of
insane
moments.
amount that I wish that I wrote, like that I wish I produced
Oh, you wrote,
hmm,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
hmm. I I don't think from that perspective, I mean, there are cultural moments that I wish I was a part of, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can look at Quinta Brunson and the Abbott Elementary empire that it's
Oh.
become, and be like, oh, I want to be a part of that so bad. And how it's becoming its own cultural phenomena,
Mm-hmm.
or even more recently. I guess I'll go pretty recent because it's so fresh of mine. And I've watched the film several times, Sinners, Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Coogler's Sinners, and how there is a Sinners multiverse that's coming out. And I'm like, if there's a way I can be in this multiverse, I would do anything. What limb do I have to sell?
Okay.
Um, I look at people's art and the art that I enjoy and
Mm-hmm.
consume, or like the White Lotus series.
Oh, There's
I
a skit
yes.
where I gotta tell you this. I'm sorry.
No, yeah,
I've
yeah.
watched this like 6 or 7 times, and I die with laughter. It's when the two guys are in the restaurant, and the guy talks about his first ladyboy experience, and
Hmm.
he tells him with a straight ass face, and that first, it's happened a couple times, but this time she did me, and the dude's mouth is dropped, and he's like, uh huh, and he goes through how he got dressed up as a woman, and then he put an ad
Yeah.
out for. I was like, who comes up with this? Who sits down and writes a scene like this that is so captivating, so bizarre, so outlandish? And I'm
Yeah.
like, stuff like this happened in real life. Because I always
Hmm.
thought, like, do comedians come up with things like, how are comedians so creative, or how are movie writers so creative that
Hmm.
they come up with these things? But then sometimes in life, things happen to you, you're like, this is a movie.
Yeah,
And people create it. So I'm like,
absolutely.
did this really happen to someone and they mentioned it, or was this all fictional? Because it was just so crazy.
I'm sure if it wasn't a firsthand account, it was at the very minimum a conversation that was had with somebody. Yeah, yeah, all of it. I mean, the truth is stranger than fiction, right? Like these crazy things happen, and then there are moments where you're like, "Oh, I need to, yeah, I need to tell somebody. I need to talk about this.
Hmm.
Please bring, hey, to the people, bring it to a comic. We love it. It is a sickness that we live with. Where when something happens and we're like, I can't wait to tell this on stage. Like it's a mental illness we live with.
Okay.
Um, yeah. But yes, I think like I'll look at bodies of work like that are so um that are different and engaging and
Hmm.
kind of odd and peculiar, and I'm like, I want to be a part of that, um yeah, so I think those are a few bodies of work that are more recent. I'm sure there are more within the last 10 years. 10 years is a long time.
I
um
agree. I agree.
I do love the Euphoria series. I know that one's coming back, and I would
Yeah.
love to do something dramatic like that that like tells a crazy like deep story. Additionally, to stand up, I would love to have a film and TV career, um, similar to the likes of an Eddie Murphy, or I actually really look up to Steve Carell. He is
Oh,
someone
he's so funny. I like
He's
him a
someone to
lot.
me but he can go from comedy to drama with so much ease,
He
and
has range. He has good range. He was really
incredible
good
range.
in what's the news one? The news show. He was in the first couple seasons, the Apple TV show about Kelly Morgan. Oh, come on.
I know what you're talking
I can't.
about because I think
Yep.
I auditioned
Yep,
for
he's in
this.
it. He's
Yes,
in
I
it.
auditioned for it and I don't remember
a-
the name.
And he had the first 2 seasons, and then they kind of knocked him off. But he was really good in that. But yes, he does have really good range. Great
Yes.
actor, very clean with his comedy too, but can be
Yeah.
hella funny. And let me
So
just make
funny.
sure I get the right person. This is the 40-year-old version guy you're talking about, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
40-Year
so I
Virgin,
was
Michael
right.
Scott, or some of his more popular um, characters. Him in Dinner for Schmucks with Paul Rudd.
Oh, really good, really good.
Problematic movie now, probably, but
Yes.
I don't care. It's top one of my top like five favorite movies for sure. Just because of the innocence, to be able to play somebody who is so unaware, might be on the spectrum, so flawlessly and with so much care. That's not an easy doing without like overdoing it or like, it was just so honest and earnest. Yeah. So I, yes, where was I going with that? I don't know. Let's wrap it
You
up.
talk
Put a bow on
you
it.
no, no, no. I think you definitely answered the question for sure. I appreciate it this time. Um, you have a very smart, sometimes mischievous style when it comes to your jokes. What joke or bit you love that never lands the way you expect it to land? Like, which one have you done? And it's like people just don't ever really get it.
Uh, Also, I really like how you describe it, smart but mischievous. I actually am going to change my bio. I like that. Hmm. A joke that I have that never quite lands the way that I think. Probably.
And you got to set it up so I can understand it, see if it lands, if it's landing for me.
Mm-hmm. I hmm. I have to say that's kind of hard because most of my jokes land.
Okay, so you're doing your job well. So you're doing your job right then. That's like you said earlier. You're doing your job
Yeah.
right.
So I can sometimes because of the misdirect, it
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think one of my more popular jokes, for example, me talking about black men who like anime, right?
I'm one of those. It's
Yes,
all.
yes.
See, see, stereotype the shit out of me already, all over my arms.
Y'all, y'all are actually one of my favorite demographic of people. If you listen to the joke, when you get to the end, you'll know the reveal. But at the top, sometimes it could be tight. Sometimes there's an unawareness of this particular brand of human being because,
I'm a
to be
brand. I
fair,
love it. I
yeah, you're
love
like
it.
a
I'm
brand
a
of
special. I'm a
a
unique,
genre.
special brand. I'm a genre. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Because we're not a monolith, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this joke in front of people who don't get out of their communities, they don't particularly know
Mm-hmm.
that there are versatile people with multiple interests, right? That we
Sure.
are all onions with many layers.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think sometimes the setup will require a bit, and now I'm cognizant of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I've been doing comedy enough that I know how to give enough context to set this up correctly. Um, but if you just don't have the cultural awareness, then
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that won't land. But some people are laughing out the gate when I say black men who like anime because they have a
They understand.
friend or they just know. If you know, you know. And
I mean, I'll probably be that person immediately bursting out with laughter because I kind of know where this might be going
And I
for
love
sure.
that, like, now, the more that I'm out and I'm doing different types of rooms, I can like spot from a mile away. Um, like, I'll start looking around and I'll see who's looking at their friend. And I'm like, it's you I'm talking about. And we love that because at first, like, when a joke comes, I think most people's impression of how it's going to land in a comedy show is that it's going to be like, oh, she's going to make fun of me. And
Hmm.
it's just a very tiny sprinkle of just observations. And
Hmm.
then it's more about the relationship to this individual. That's the funny in it. It's not just about you. I'm not making fun of you. Because
Hmm.
that's just, again, not the nature of my comedy.
Got it. Okay.
I try to bring an awareness of the types of humanity that exist, right? Like,
I love
um,
that.
yeah, yeah. Like, probably one
Feel
of
like
my,
this is probably not the best analogy, but I feel like your comedy is like a teddy bear analogy. Like you just want to love it, appreciate it, hold it, hug it.
yeah,
Is that right?
I was told when I get on stage that the person who was telling me, they said that they felt taken care of. And I was like, "Oh, that's so good. I love that. I'm glad that you could feel safe in this and like are immersed in a world that is mine, and it's an odd and obscure world where these crazy things. Sometimes I have to preface with like, this is my real life and this is really what happened, because this
Hmm.
some of the situations sound insane. They sound crazy, like
Okay.
me being threatened by just random people on the street. I'm like, what did I do to deserve this?
Wow.
And then playing out the story of like, my perspective through it, right? Although these
Hmm.
situations may be crazy or even scary when they happen, like, obviously the comedy brain in me is like, this is a joke. This is great. Illness,
Okay.
mental illness.
I feel like you sidestep. Are you also into anime?
I Not really. I can't say that I
I
am.
don't
I
say
can't
say
say it.
yes or no,
I
yes or
can't
no.
say
Not
that.
you. You're too much into maybes all the time. Yes or
Yeah,
no? Do you?
I tried. I tried, and like, the last time I watched an anime fully was Pokemon when I was a child, or Sailor Moon when I was a
Mm,
child. It's been so many years.
okay. All right. I still watch it every single day. I was watching it just before this episode,
You
so
see, so like that's
so
more that's an anime
fully
lover.
immersed.
I
Fully immersed.
you know what it is? It's because animes have so many episodes. My brother is
Not all of
into
them.
they're
Not
not.
all of
I
them.
guess so. My brother's into One Piece. Did you just say? I think he just
The,
said One Piece in the background.
yeah, One Piece is a whole nother beast. That's like 1,000 episodes, which I've all watched. I'm
I'm
very
too
up to
late.
date.
I'm too late to the
So,
game. 1,000 of anything is insane. And I will
yeah.
say, you know what? I'm gonna sell you to the crowd for a second. Are you single, Tony?
Now I'm married.
Tony's married. You know why he's married? Because he's committed. That's a committed man. Anybody who watches 1,000 episodes of anything, committed.
True. 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 True.
Get you an
Determination.
anime man. Get you an
Yes.
anime man.
We're our own genre, like she said, our own breed. We're
Yes.
very special, very committed, determined.
I just
All
know
right,
your wife
so
happy. I just know.
you know what she is? I sit home a lot, watching a lot of hours of anime.
She always know
I'm
where you at. She knows
I'm not in the
exactly where you
streets.
are ever.
I'm not in them streets, and I also go to Comic Con, video
Look
game
at
places
that.
to watch it. See, yeah, nothing crazy happening there at all.
These girls
So
want, you see, women, y'all focus, and men too. Y'all all focus on the wrong thing. You need, get you somebody who like anime. You know where they at. They're just sitting somewhere watching 1,000 episodes.
episodes, yes. So what themes are you obsessed with right now in your comedy, and why do you think they matter?
Ooh, what themes am I obsessed with right now? I am
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with focusing on the POV of a child of an immigrant because right now immigrants are the number one enemy of the US government and
Mm.
they like to pick a new enemy every several years for whatever political game campaign they're on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and right now, I think it's just so odd that we're deporting Black, brown immigrants and we're importing these European and of European descent, regardless of whether they're an Afrikaner or whatever, your European descent. We are we are allowing them to come in and live their free lives and give them free reign, right, and government benefits and immigration status, while we are detaining and putting, Mexicans, we're putting Latinos, brown people, brown folk, other Caribbean and Africans, brown Africans in camps, giving them aluminum foil and telling them to sleep on the ground. We don't really actually know what's happening in these immigration grounds.
True.
It's evil, and it sounds like history is repeating itself. Think of
True.
all the different people that we've put in these situations that are similar in the past. It's. I think through my comedy, I like to show people that this is humanity.
We're all
We
humans.
we
We
are
look
all
different. We're all humans.
we are all humans, and that's literally it. We have such similar walks and experiences, although yes, they might vary in slight ways, but we're not that different, man. And that the power is really exposure and knowing, and knowing that, right, and having exposure to different types of people and different stories. So that's really been the theme these days because I think it's important. I feel a responsibility. I grew up seeing my mom struggle really
Mm-hmm.
hard because of not having any immigration status in this country, and it hurts me to think that if it was a couple, if she was a couple years younger, or perhaps she didn't get her citizenship status within the last few years, that there was a possibility that my family could have been split apart. Like that's so heartbreaking. I remember that fear as a child. Um, and to think that that's really happening. People are ICE is running into homes and splitting families apart.
Yeah.
Who is gay? Who is who's profiting off of this is the real question. But again, uh, I just want to help people think a little more critically, that
Think differently. Yeah, I get
that's
it.
not okay.
Yeah, I definitely want to commend you for that because I'm also an immigrant.
Mm,
um, I moved here several years ago from Guyana in South America, if you're not familiar.
Oh, I'm very
Um,
familiar.
cool, cool, cool.
I haven't had a
Um,
good roti in years.
at least you know who got the best roti, because
Y'all
them
really do.
Trinidadians think they got the best curry. They do not. Guyana has the best
Sorry.
curry.
I gotta
So
give it to Guyana. Yeah,
I
oh, I had a
I
coworker. Her
appreciate.
name was Surani, and every holiday she would come
Mm-hmm.
in with the fresh made roti curry. I was like, oh my god, this is. I've never loved the holidays more.
I love
Whoo,
it.
she
I
could
love it. I
cook.
love it. So I know you mentioned a few times that your mom is a immigrant.
Mhm.
Where did she come from? Like, what's your ethnical background? Would love to just know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, my mom is from Sapporo, Japan, Hokkaido to be more specific, Sapporo in Hokkaido, excuse me.
Hmm?
And for those of you who drink, it's where the beer is from. The ones who
Okay.
know geography, it's north
Mm-hmm.
of the Honshu Island. Yeah, she came when she was late 20s, I believe. And she met my dad here in the States. My dad is Black American, and they did not last. I don't know how they would have. They are very different people. And
Mm-hmm.
that happens, right? He was part of my life for the first 2 years of my life. And then I didn't really see him again until I was maybe like eight or no, maybe like 6, 7 years old, and then from there it was like a big distance between the last next time I would speak to him. So he wasn't really like present in my life. And to be fair, I was the second to last of his 9 kids. So I
Oh
think he
wow.
honestly forgot. I was like, he was like,
He had
he
his
had
handful.
he
He
had
had
his
more than his
hands full.
handful. He had more
When
than
you
his
have
hands.
9 kids, I mean, who's keeping up?
True. Who was keeping up?
um,
Okay. So
but
have
I
you ever
don't.
been to Japan?
Oh yeah, I did go to Japan for the very first time because my mom was finally able to leave the country at this point. Prior to that, she didn't have a green card, so she couldn't. Back in 2019, sorry, I didn't say the year.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, she couldn't leave the country. Had she left, she would not be able to come back in. So,
Makes sense.
um, it was in 2019. It was unfortunately to bury my grandmother, who I never got to actually meet face to face.
Um,
We only ever had a conversation, like conversations on the phone, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences. It felt like it did feel like a homecoming, although perhaps it's because I'm not living there, right? I'm sure living there would feel differently. I'd probably feel like an outsider and feel made to feel like that. Whereas visiting did feel very welcoming. It was so awesome to actually meet my Japanese family face to face. Like that was so
awesome.
cool, and they felt cool too because they're like our American cousins. Um, and it was so beautiful, like clean, safe. You see children walking around, like 3-year-olds, grocery
Mm,
shopping. Like what? This is what?
I, no, no.
But you can't.
It was one of my best and most favorite trips I've ever been on. I think I
Mm,
went in 20, either 23 or 22. My brother and I went
mm. Oh,
together.
really recent.
And so after the pandemic, of course, and we had so much fun. We were there for 10 days. We went to Osaka Castle. We were
Mm,
staying in Tokyo. We did a couple Michelin star restaurants for sushi and tempura. But the most fun experience we've ever had. So a lot of the places we went to were from TripAdvisor because we tried to do a research and very
yeah.
Americanized, very a lot of like Westerners. So not the
Yeah.
true experience. So like the
Yikes.
night before we were about to leave, my brother's like, let's just go to a random place. I was like, why? Like we got a recommendation. He's like, no, let's go to this random place.
Mm,
So we tried to go down this it's like almost basement to this restaurant. And we got in there, the guy was like, no English, no English, only Japanese, no English. And I was like, I got a phone. I could take a picture and translate this. Like, we good. So don't worry. So we sat down anyway. All of a
mm,
sudden, he started speaking English. He just probably didn't want us in there. And we sat next to this group of like two guys, two girls. And they were talking, and they hear my brother and I talking. And they
yeah.
said, like, where are you guys from? We had a little conversation, and we got them drinks. They got us drinks, and we were just having a blast. And then we were like, let's do karaoke because I feel like every Japanese person, this is a stereotype, loves karaoke.
Well, we
So we
invented
said,
it. I think that also needs to be cleared up because I feel like it's been
I didn't know that.
acquired by Korean and Filipino folk, which love y'all in under the Asian umbrella. But karaoke is our shit.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know that. But you guys are fantastic at it because we went. This place didn't have any English songs. I think they might have one or two, but everything was in Japanese, or at least they were speaking in Japanese because they didn't know a lot of English very well.
Uh-huh.
But my brother started singing in Japanese, and I'm like, who the F is this? I didn't know you know to sing this song. And
Uh-huh.
he went like from start to finish, knew the words, like he was reading it, like didn't get it. The guys got up and started to hug him, and they were swinging and singing. And I'm looking like, is this like an alien? Because he don't know Japanese, so how the hell is he singing this? We had so much fun.
That is
It
so
was one of
funny.
the best experience, and I wish we had more time because 10 days is not enough to see Japan. Not enough at all.
No, it's not. I think we were there probably the same amount of time. I haven't been to the tourist hotspots yet, so my next trips will definitely be more of the discovery of Japan. We went straight from Tokyo Haneda to Sapporo, and it's like you know those scenes in the anime, like the travel scenes in like a
Yes.
like they're going through the countryside and they're passing all the trees on a road
Mm-hmm.
that's uninhabited. That's literally what it looked like in Sapporo. We were traveling from Sapporo to Hakodate, which is the westernmost part of that island,
Mm-hmm.
closest to Russia, actually. So you'll actually like notice some of the people there look like Russian, Japanese mixed,
Mm.
because it's so close. Um, and it's a seaside city. So we went from there to Hakodate because that's where our family tomb is, the Komaguchi
Mm.
tomb. So that's
Your
very cool.
pronunciation is very, very, very good, and which makes sense. But I'm assuming, do you speak Japanese?
I do like a little bit. I do because I my mom spoke to me growing up.
Mm.
Little insider, talked to me for the first several years of my life because her and my dad had beef and she needed someone to talk to. So that was me. So I get nervous to speak to other people because I learned Japanese as a parent talking to a child. So if I talk to other people like that, it's very disrespectful
Uh,
because there is you conjugate according to how who status to who you're talking to, right? So I can't talk like that to everybody. They're like, but there's forgiveness for certain ways I say things because I can get away with it as an American. So they're like,
got it.
oh,
Got it.
she
Okay.
doesn't
Okay.
know, right? And then I'm like, I
That was
do
a good
know. I just know it's
assumption on
wrong.
my part. That's a good assumption on my. I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense. All
Mm-mm.
right. So, how has your sense of humor evolved with you? Would
Mm.
your early career Tatiana laugh at today's Tatiana or just roast her?
Oh, absolutely. I if my my early career me would be like, "Oh, I didn't know we could do that." Like I didn't know I had no idea we you got good. My earlier version of me was didn't know what was going on. I was just
Okay.
happy to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my now me looks back and I'm like, "Oh my god, I was terrible. I was
Okay.
awful." And you got to be bad for a long time. So if anybody was curious like how long does it take to get good? For me it was like 5 years. I stuck with it, but it was mostly because I was ignorant for the first 5 years. I had no idea.
How
No
bad
idea
you
it
were.
was bad. I had no idea I was bombing and I was blowing the room up. No clue.
Oh man, that is funny. 5 years of not knowing how terrible you are. Okay, that's
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 what they
rough.
mean by ignorance is bliss because you're just having a
Yes.
good time. The self awareness, not there at all.
Okay. So I know you mentioned wanting to get into acting or something. I think you mentioned Steve Carell
Mhm.
and I don't remember the other gentleman. What have you done any movies? You mentioned that you auditioned for a show? Like what have you been in that I could probably just look up and just try to look, where's Gucci? Let me see if I can find her quickly.
Oh man, I have done a couple projects. They're mostly like short films. I haven't been in any like network television shows or films, but I am filming this year 2 different short films. So that's also really exciting, just to kind of get my feet wet, into acting. That's kind of my exercise, if you will. That's my gym, right? So hopefully that can translate to a bigger screen, a bigger audience. Most
Cool.
of my acting is really through my own writing of sketch comedy. So I have sketches that I post on my YouTube, longer form there, and then on my short form on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram Reels. Um, so I'm in front of a camera. That's neither here nor there. Whether the production is large or small, that might matter to somebody. But yeah, I'll post reels of situational comedy all the time because the life is silly and I like to make fun of those moments.
All right, cool, cool. All right, this is the last question. I know we're coming up to time. How did the pandemic shift your relationship with comedy? Whether it was writing alone during lockdown, doing Zoom shows, or just striving in the weirdness of it all. Like what was that for you?
Yeah, I was so fresh into comedy by the time the pandemic came that I really didn't know what to do or how to navigate. And so I was like, you know what? Let me try the Zoom comedy thing. I did it so bad. That's one of the worst ideas ever. Because there's a delay, right? From everybody's, individual networks and some people got the lowest speed internet. You're not hearing their laughs until 5 seconds after the joke. You're like, is this working? You got to put them on mute. It's the worst. I did like one Zoom show. I said never again.
Okay.
I Okay, so I have to preface this with I am a bit of a go-getter, so I was breaking some of the rules. I got vaccinated. So I was like, let me leave California because nothing's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit a couple spots. I hit Texas because Texas did not care. I hit Florida because Florida did
Oh,
not
that did
care.
yeah. Yep. Okay.
New York did care, but there's an underground world. It's
Mm-hmm.
Gotham City. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to different places that I could still continue the craft and get better. So I found a way. Now, during the time, I did not tell anybody because I did not want to be judged. But now I didn't get it and I didn't spread it. So,
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So at the end of every show, we typically like to ask this particular question. How do you block out the noise? How do you stay focused on a task or a mission that you have in front of you? Because the world has so many different things that try to distract you with negativity. So how do you stay focused and block out the noise?
how do I stay focused? I have a time limit on my Instagram and TikTok because doom scrolling is a thing. These apps are designed to suck your time and energy. And so I try not to stay on them longer than, maybe a couple minutes. And I allow that timer to go off and then I shut the phone off. Big into fitness. I think that's something I preach to everybody. You got to move your body in some way, shape, or form to keep it strong, healthy, optimal. I am a proponent for the steam room and sauna. That's my recovery after my workout.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sit there and meditate. That's when I really get to unplug and shut the noise off, because our brains are moving at a million miles an hour. As you might have told by this last hour that we've sat together, I might have ADHD. And imagine that, just thoughts all day. Something's happening in this mind. You got to wind down somehow. And I've recently been doing guided meditations. That's been helping me really wind down at the end of the night when I
Mm-hmm.
just cannot shut this brain off. Or I edit a lot of my content, most of it. So, my brain is thinking about the next project I'm working on or the last one that I just had to pause, or that can all get very overwhelming by the time you're trying to close your eyes and get some rest. Because rest is so important. I'm learning that the older I get,
Mm-hmm.
we cannot bypass it because we cannot be our optimal selves without it. So a guided meditation, whether it be 10 minutes or a 3 hour one, let it run while you sleep. But those are some of my top tips for letting letting your brain reset, getting back to a theta state, because as a creative, that is so necessary. You cannot create if the mind and spirit and body are jumbled and misaligned.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. What do you want our audience to know about any projects, books, movies, action films? What's coming down the pipeline that you want us to know about?
I actually would love to share. I am starting my own show called Matcha My Energy, because as a self-proclaimed matcha mommy, I feel like I'm spreading the good news of matcha, because it's good for you. It's also my culture. So I'm sharing a little bit of my culture with some comedians that I bring on to my long form talk show, if you will, where
Hmm.
we set up in a cafe. We try one of their matcha drinks, and we just like talk about the comedy experience journey, all things that it takes to get to where we're at in our career. So matcha my energy coming at the end of May.
I love the tagline. It sounds exciting, sounds fun, and I'll be one of your first viewers when it comes out. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank
Wish
you.
you
Thank
all
you
the
for having me,
success.
Evan. I really appreciate you. This was so much fun having a conversation with you. Sorry that your partner could not be here for the conversation, but much condolences to him and his family. I'm hoping that they stay strong through it and just know that everything in God's timing.